After an unbelievable 18 months, the day has finally arrived to welcome you to the most distinguished flower show in the world.
This year, Chelsea doesn't mark the start of the summer. For the first time ever, the RHS Chelsea Flower Show is the spectacular event to close the season. And from what I've already seen, we are going to go out in style.
The designers and growers have pulled out all the stops. The showground is looking as polished and perfect as ever.
And as always, we will give you the best seats in the house as royalty, special guests and celebrities all cast their eyes over this year's autumnal planting palette of floral fabulousness.
Well, let's get this party started. Coming up on tonight's RHS Chelsea Flower Show, an event supported by M&G Investments.
Carol Klein heads to the wild, wild west for a showdown with the plants of the prairies.
Newcomer to our team, JJ Chalmers delves into his passion for trees in a garden that's quite literally full of them.
And Rachel de Tame is back, paying homage to an autumn classic, the delightful dahlia.
Well, it might be September, but Chelsea wouldn't be Chelsea without a bit of glamour. And the stars were out in force as the premier event in horticulture made its comeback.
Wow, this is Chelsea.
It is so good to be back. It feels wonderful.
It's great to be back. It's great for people to be here, you know, walking around, breathing in some fresh air.
The fact that it's back on is wonderful. Absolutely right that it should be back, and great to see so many people here.
The atmosphere is what makes Chelsea, isn't it? And it looks so beautiful.
Chelsea is vibrant, full of colour and totally inspiring.
The best of what we do in Britain in relation to gardens, and we are really good at it.
In my world, this is more like the Champions League, shall we say, of gardening.
This is the Wimbledon of gardening. It's the Paris catwalk of horticultural fashion.
The stuff I couldn't possibly do in my garden, but, you know, I dream on, really.
To come here to see it in all its glory at whatever time of the year is just amazing.
I think the displays are stunning. I've never seen anything quite like it.
Gardening is cool, gardening is different. There's something different happening, there's a change in the air.
It's not very hip-hop, is it? But what can I tell you?
This is an extra special year, I think.
Finally, we can see something all together that's beautiful and celebrate nature the way it should be celebrated.
I feel quite giddy that we're here and not on a little computer screen. It's so nice to be here. IRL stands for in real life, kids.
This is Main Avenue, the catwalk of garden design, where the very best in the business create their finest work in the hope of winning a coveted gold medal.
When the gates open officially to the wider public tomorrow, they'll be seen by more than 140,000 people across the week. But tonight, you have front row seats with our Access All Areas tour of the gardens.
So sit back and be inspired by the best that Chelsea has to offer as Sophie and I guide you through the runners and riders this year.
And we are starting at the very top of Main Avenue with the M&G garden that is right here. This garden has been designed by Hugo Bugg and Charlotte Harris. They're both gold medal winners in their own right, but can they achieve the same success together?
This garden is designed to be a small